No,
Or Notre Dame.
yeah, or whatever. No, that's right. There were some of those too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I think it's interesting. It's just because you don't, the first games, you just never know. I think it was great for college football. So, you guys ready to go back there? Well, it's first and foremost, it's great to come in here, obviously, after a win. And, in a game that I felt like defensively, we did a great job of shutting them down, except for, 100 and whatever they had, 189 yards, 7 yards or whatever, and 107 of those came on 3 plays, which when you look at this Kentucky game, what they have about 8 or 9 plays over 30 yards offensively. So obviously the explosive plays, we got to do a great job of getting off the field and shutting down there. The one drive they scored, we hurt ourselves in 35 yards worth of penalties, and yet there are things we can learn from. Offensively, I wanted to get Eddie some shots at some field goals, but I'd rather have touchdowns when we're down in the high red. So, we've got to do that. We hurt ourselves on 3 drives there on unforced errors. So, there's some things that obviously we need to work on, and yet, UMass came in and did exactly what you're supposed to do. They played slow, they bled the clock. They did a pretty good job of, nickel and diming some first downs and staying on the field and keeping us off the field. And my hat's off to Coach Whipple and what they were able to do. And really with their personnel adjustments, in and out of so many different things, using a tackle as an extra tight end, big tight end as in and out of 12 and regular, and I thought it was really good, and good for us because it really forced us there again some in-game operational things that we needed to do, and I thought the staff did a good job of handling that, coming out. So there was some good, there was some ugly, there was some bad, and yet the important part is, man, that Gator walk on, that stadium was electric. And, my hat's off to the students that showed up and bought all the tickets, and our Gator fans that showed up on a questionable rainy night to come watch the Gators. So that was great. Really looking forward to this week as we kind of move forward to a 3:30 game, national television. Against a team that is hurting a little bit. I mean, obviously, they had a 25-point lead. They only had the ball 15 times, I think it was, in the second half. And a team that was Kentucky was going up and down the field and stopped themselves a couple times. And, they're going to come in here, obviously, with that mentality where the last time they played in this stadium probably felt they could have won the ball game. And, there's a lot of things that go into that, but more importantly for us, opening of SEC play, earlier than last year. So we have to grow up and grow up soon. And I'm looking forward to that transformation as we go into this ball game. So from an injury standpoint, big loss, that we're going to need some guys to step up. Obviously, Dre Massey, hurt his leg, and he'll be out. He'll get that operated on here when the swelling goes down, and he'll be out for the year. And, another guy, Daniel McMillan, who played a ton on a, badly sprained ankle. And here's the amazing thing about both of these guys. Their want to play. Dre did it on the very opening kickoff and played all the way through halftime on something that needs to be surgically repaired. That shows you his toughness and his want to do what he can for this football team. And the same thing with DMAC. A lot of guys would have said, you know what, I think I'm good. And he wanted to play every down. And I think that speaks for those two guys' character, their want, and I think a little bit about this football team. There's a certain hunger to play, and I think that's really good from that standpoint. But we had some pretty darn good performances. I thought defensively, Alex Anzalone for the first time back, kind of knocking the rust off. He probably had the most production points, but you can point at some other guys. Obviously, Jared played his tail off. Those two guys are as good a college linebackers as there are in the country, and they play off each other so well. But kind of a guy that kind of didn't show up in the stats, but I thought played his tail off and really was our player of the game on defense was Kerry Clark, on the inside. What he did to hold point, keep in the maintain his gap control and not peak, and in a game like that where they were, running the lead fullback and that kind of stuff, I thought he really, really played well for us defensively. On offense, Jordan Scarlett, I think, showed up a little bit, did a great job in pass protection as well. But Brandon Powell, the big plays he made, I thought energized our team offensively. And special teams, obviously we're going to talk about Eddie. I was excited that after one of the field goals, he wasn't quite sure of what end he was supposed to kick off from, so I'm glad we got him on the right end for that. But his couple of his hang time kickoffs really helped us pin him down inside the 20. I think their starting point for the game was about the 19. That gives you a chance to be successful. That's Johnny Townsend with him putting the punts where he needs to. But our coverage units, and the guy that really stood out was Mod Fullwood. I just can't tell you how hard he played, and as a senior, doing not only what he does as a wideout, but on every special team. I think that he's a guy that I was really excited how he came into the game and played the game. And showed up on video. So, with that, we look to get some guys back. CJ, I think we'll see. Time will tell on that. Both the freshman receivers will be back in the mix this week. They've obviously didn't get much practice time at all. And hopefully the injuries that they had will be ready to go, but I'll be able to tell you more on that on Wednesday as we see where we're at. So reconfiguring some things at the wideout spot, but getting some bodies back, that's going to be huge. And, then we need to increase our explosive plays. And, part of that is got to challenge our guys up front, to control the line of scrimmage a little bit. And, this is a lot bigger team front-wise that we'll play this week. So, my challenge to the guys up front is, not only do your job and do your assignment, but let's do it at a high tempo and an energy to create some spark offensively. So, and Luke, Luke did all right. It was probably about, 6 throws that I know he'd like back. He had, 4 drops, I think. But you take those throw back. I thought he was good as far as not taking sacks. He did a good job of that. Threw it to our colored jersey and, was pretty efficient. And for a first start, got his, literally got his feet wet. But I thought played pretty darn good. So, questions? This is great. We get to go?
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Edgar.
Yeah, hey, Coach, you said that Luke, one thing you like about him, he's a gym rat.
Mm-hmm.
How does he go about preparing now? I mean, he had a long time to kind of,
Yeah.
even 5 days, I guess, to ponder the first play. I
Right.
mean, now everything's going to be accelerated.
Yeah.
How does he kind of go about doing it?
We have a routine for those guys that, some tape that we obviously, they're able to get, off the cloud. We have a progression as to how we go through and implement the plan. In this case, a week ago, obviously, we started Thursday, so we got a little bit of, 3-day peek ahead. But here's the one thing, he's been in quarterback rooms before. He obviously, with Nuss, prepared and knows the routine of the preparation. Part of the preparation at quarterback is to look to what's going to happen the next day from the install. So when you go into that install meeting, you've had a little bit of a preview as to what you're going to see. And, you know, he's a guy, and Austin's a guy who both understand how to do that, and they'll do it.
And besides the mental aspect, what kind of things do you want to see him do better physically going on
Well,
the
you know,
field?
I think a couple times he maybe cut it loose a little quick, you know, had maybe a little more time, but he was a little anxious. You know, that first play, I think Antonio could have set his angle a little bit, didn't stick the route like he was supposed to, but I don't think he knew he could throw it that far either. And but, you know, I think overall, you know, now it's just the progression of how you go about your daily work, and I know he'll do that. You know, there was never a sense of panic. The guys all, you know, hey, he got them together, we moved it, we stalled ourselves. Now we've got to produce more points when we're down in the red area.
Bob, over here to the right.
Coach, can you talk about offensive line play after watching film?
Yeah, you know, it was assignment-wise, it was good for the most part. We were on edge in protections. We got our head down a little bit. You know, my biggest piece there is you know, the energy and body language in which they get to the line of scrimmage, make the call, and let's go. We were slow with that, and it's something that's got to change.
Mark.
Any changes on the offensive line?
No, you know, not yet. You know, we played basically, you know, 7 guys. Harkless got in. You know, we got to get him in a little bit more. Wani got in a little bit. You know, we didn't get Richard Desir-Jones in, but we will this week.
And then Nussmeier was down instead of being up in the box last year. Why that change, and how did why did that come about, and what do you the benefit of being down there?
You know, his working, I think, with the quarterbacks and really the whole offense kind of between series, something that he felt comfortable with, and I thought it worked out pretty good.
Matt, over here to the right.
Hey, Jim. After reviewing the film, what was the most encouraging thing you saw offensive-wise, and also maybe the most concerning thing?
Yeah, I think the most concerning thing was that the effort was there. Okay, I mean, we played hard, but how quickly we did it, I didn't like. And you know, we were on edge a little bit, like I said, in protections, which we knew we were going to get line movement. So why be surprised by it? It's not like you hadn't seen it 1,000 times in practice or whatever. But you know, we've got to clean that piece up and make sure we keep the chief clean. You know, we've got to make sure we secure the pocket, because even in their 5-man pressure stuff when we had it picked up, I mean, Luke was at a 78% clip. So what that tells you is, you know, pretty clean pocket. He's going to get his feet set and get it to where it needs to go. You know, when we were on edge, you know, we had to move a little bit. He did a good job of moving in the pocket, but missed a couple throws because of that. So, you know, those are things that the whole team has to take accountability for. And, you know, I was really happy with, you know, the play of some of the guys, you know, on defense that, you know, stopped what they wanted to do. So the other thing that was really good, there was, you know, kind of the calm, you know, there was excitement and yet a certain calm. And that tells me that, you know what, we're confident in what we're doing. There isn't any panic.
Robbie.
Has Scarlett maybe separated himself a little bit from the other tailbacks? Maybe kind of
No,
be the
you know
go-to
what
guy?
happened in some of the RPOs, those other guys would have got more runs, but they were giving you the stuff on the outside, which, you know, obviously we made some hay with. So, you know, I think he's doing a really good job at so are those other guys. And you know, Cronkite did some really good things as well. You know, Mark obviously had a couple drops in the pass game, but at the same time, you know, he's a guy we've got to get the ball to a little bit.
And how did the freshmen and wide receivers play?
You know, for as many plays as they played pretty darn good. And, you know, they caught the ball in tough conditions even early. And I was really proud of them for that. There's a lot that they're going to learn as far as the speed and pace in which you need to play at the collegiate level. And I'm looking forward to seeing them, you know, now. As I told all those guys that played, and there was a big number of them, Okay, you're a veteran now, okay? That first game's over, so we need to go. We're playing the SEC schedule starting now.
Nick over to the right.
You only had 6 wide receivers going into the game. You lose Dre pretty early. How does that affect play calling? You're not going to run.
Well,
verts
you know,
very much.
I'd say this, you know, it's no secret, we had, you know, some packages for Dre. Cronkite, you know, picked that up a little bit. We only, you know, got into kind of a wildcat kind of deal one time. And so, you know, moving forward this week, we'll get somebody else in there to help that kind of stuff. You know, I think they did a great job of, there's the beauty of teaching them different positions and actually teaching conceptual concepts rather than, okay, I'm out here and I run this route, you know. So we were able to move some guys around. And again, we'll see a lot of that will hinge this week on the health of the guys we talked about early to see where that rotation's going to go.
And then given his injury history, when Alex is down on the field there for a minute, does your heart kind of sink and you start running through scenarios?
No, and in fact, he actually did what he was supposed to do. He was supposed to take a knee. He cut his hand, and so he takes a knee, which allows us now to get our next personnel grouping in. That's a veteran move, you know what I mean? So believe me, when I saw him take a knee, he wasn't really holding anything, you know, so I wasn't too worried. But we got that thing stitched up, and he was ready to go.
Thomas?
I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you about Duke Dawson.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had that written. Yeah, he got hurt in the game. He had a shoulder or a chicken wing, you know, that was a little loose. But according to the training report today, limited contact reps okay. So although we don't contact on Mondays, I don't know why the contact piece is there. So it sounds like he's okay.
And then the suspended senior, is he back for this game?
We'll see.
Ryan?
There was so much excitement for Dre this season. How is he processing this whole thing, and how did his teammates
Well,
respond
you know,
to it?
there's obviously a disappointment in any time that something like that happens, and yet the beautiful thing about teammates, family, is they're there to support, elevate, and pick them up, and that's what we saw. And you know, he had a lot of family members here too, you know, for the first time, and I know it was disappointing for him, and yet he's got a lot of ball ahead of him. He'll get this thing handled, and he's a guy that'll work at the rehab piece, and I think it has shown, credit our strength staff and our PTs and that kind of stuff, you know, how some of our guys have come back from injuries and actually been stronger.
And then you highlighted Brandon. What was different about him this year, do you think? What do you see
Well, he's
improved?
healthy. You know, I think the first, 3 or 4 games last year, you know, I mean, this guy made plays, right? And then he got dinged up, and I mean, he definitely is an explosive playmaker. He's a guy we need to continue to make those plays, and we got to get him the ball.
Edgar?
How do you address this streak with the team?
Well, it's there, you know. I mean, it's the biggest piece to me is not necessarily that was done by teams before, you know. And you know, as I told them last year going into this game, look, guys, I mean, they had a chance right here in the swamp, and you know, there was a questionable piece to that, which I don't know what way it went. I wasn't here. And then last year, and we had to play our tails off against these guys. So, you know, those streak things, I don't know, I think it's something to write about. But, you know, really, every year is different. And, you know, right now it's 0-0. These two teams have never played, and I think that's the key component there.
What do you hope Jalen took from his suspension, and how do you see him responding?
Well, both he and Ciante, obviously, we're excited to have them back. Like I said, they're great players and great people, and care a lot about this team, care a lot about, you know, how they can affect the people around them. We need their energy. Both of them were leaders, and you know, I'm just excited for them to come back and play. You know, as in all cases, when you take something away from somebody that's really important, you hope maybe they learn from their actions. You probably have done that with people you know at some point, and that's really what it's all about. So I expect great play from both of them, and I'm excited to have them back.
Jack?
Jim, you said you're going to have to reconfigure some things with Macy out. How do you anticipate that shaking out?
Well, obviously the biggest thing, as I said earlier, it really depends on those three guys we mentioned
Yeah.
coming back from injury and where that sits. So, I'll know a little more on Wednesday when I kind of see what we have and the parts we have. Obviously, our use of multiple running backs, which we haven't really done a ton of in the past, is something that you'll see more of. And, that's a position, that we've got to lean on a little bit. And same thing with Schools and Ciante in the pass game.
And then how long might McMillan be out, and does Kylan step in for him now?
Yeah, and Jeremiah Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jackie Moon, I like that. But those guys will come in and play, and that'll be fun.
And is McMillan, is it a season-ending injury, or he's just going to
No.
miss? Okay. It's just a
Although,
sprain.
you know what? Sometimes high ankle sprains, they sometimes last for 3.5 years. So I don't know. We'll see.
He played through it, though.
Yeah,
so.
yes, he did. He's a tough guy, man.
Any final
All right, guys. Oh,
Jordan?
yeah.
Defensive backs overall, how much will Tabor's return help, and what do they need to do to take the next step in
Well, I
first
thought
SEC
they
game?
played good. Obviously, we got beat on a double move. The nickel spot hurt us a little bit on a couple of the underneath big plays, that I know we covered, watched it in one reel twice. As a team, when they're in a certain split, this is what's going to happen. And they got us twice on it. And, that's a disappointing thing. And yet, those guys did a good job. I mean, shoot, when you look at the offensive production, which they had, our guys did a pretty darn good job. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Camera's good in the back?